Trae Young is out with an injury and Morant is suspended. So what does this mean for the Grizzlies and the Atlanta Hawks? So first let's start with Trae Young. Obviously, Trae Young is the guy on the Hawks, right? And they need him in order to be, a top tier team in the Eastern Conference. And I predicted that they would be the number 4 seed. And obviously, if Trae Young is going to be out 4 weeks, which is what it said, then, being the 4 seed is going to, I think I said 4 seed? Something like that. But I said they would be one of the surprise teams in the Eastern Conference. And in order to be that, they need Trae Young, right? And so the problem is, I guess, well, obviously the problem is Trae Young is out, right? But the problem is, the Eastern Conference is not the West. We get it. Like, in the West, I talk about it all the time. You need every single game, right? But in the Eastern Conference, you still need to, rack up the wins too. And Trae Young missing 4 weeks, potentially, that's a lot of games, to try to, combat from Trae Young, missing. So this is not good news for the Atlanta Hawks. They need to get Trae Young back as soon as possible. Like I said, I predicted them to be one of the top 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference or something like that, because I felt like they had a chance to make some noise. Like, I felt like the roster, was, good. Like, I felt like they did some good things this offseason with the roster. And so if Trae Young gets back soon, stuff like that, then the Hawks will definitely, have a much better chance to be that 4 seed, but they definitely need him in order, to get that spot. So this is not good news for the Hawks. But it's not season ending, it's not like, thankfully it's not like a torn ACL or anything like that. So, hopefully while he's out, they can, hold it down for him. And then when he comes back, they can pick up where they left off. And then in terms of Morant is suspended again. No, he hasn't been suspended, this season so far. But he, we know he was suspended, I guess that was last year or the year before, for, a good portion of the season. And, it's a 1-game suspension, so it's not the end of the world, but, like, it's not looking good with Morant and the Grizzlies when Morant's, getting suspended again. Like, you want your star player to obviously, not saying he's not the leader of the team, but, like, be out there at all times, not being, suspended and, unfortunately stuck at home or in the locker room, And so this, people were talking about Morant potentially being traded from the Grizzlies, could be a potential thing that happens this offseason. I said last offseason that it probably won't happen until this offseason. If anything, because last offseason it was like we're going to give it one more run, with Jaren Jackson. Well, Jaren Jackson Jr. is not, going anywhere. Jaren Jackson Jr. is not going anywhere, but obviously Morant, maybe the time, maybe Morant's time with the Grizzlies is coming to a close, Like, there's only so many times Again, not calling for him to be traded. If you watch this page, you know I don't try to do that and stuff like that. But like, I'm not saying he needs to be traded, but at the same time, you know, it's a little tough when your star player is still getting suspended. And it was something about, you know, calling out the team after the NBA Cup loss. And so, like, I get that he would be frustrated about the loss and stuff like that, but like, to be frustrated to the point where you get suspended is not, you know, not a good look. So, thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. I hope you enjoyed, and see you soon. Bye!